And then the trauma that's, packed onto that is like hurt pieces at home, or they're saying like, we're really struggling, or how do we get through this? And kids having to go into survivor mode even more. And then they come here and it's like, you don't even have to fight those battles. We got you. And they don't know how to release it. And so that, therapeutic component in our program, I'm saying, is just adding value to the kids' healing. They don't even know that they can heal from things. Right. You don't have to walk through life with these labels and that hurt. You can release it. And so it's like those coping mechanisms that they do in the talking circles, it's helping them, and it's putting a voice to that pain and allowing themselves to release it too.
Welcome to the Pulse Project. Pandemics had an effect on everyone, whether it's physical health, mental health, effects of being isolated, financial stress, and more. This project's designed to show you the resources you have available to help you move forward during these tough times. Welcome to the Pulse Project. It's been brought to you by Bank, Community Development Partnership, and Witted Media.
Oh, I'm Kristen Gilliam. I'm Aliquippa native, and I am the after-school program coordinator. I'm also the Dean of Student Affairs.
All right. All right, Dean of Student Affairs.
And then I'm Brandi Pupi, and I'm the Executive Director here at Aliquippa Impact.
Okay, and you guys are Aliquippa Impact. Can you tell me a little bit about Aliquippa Impact? Who are you guys?
So AI started 18 years ago by Joel Repick. He was in college and did a summer internship at the Pittsburgh Project in the North Side. And Joel was a Beaver County native and knew about Aliquippa and just thought perhaps a summer program can start here. And so while he was still in college, he recruited some friends and they started a summer day camp up in Lindmar Terrace. And once Joel, conducted his first camp, maybe two, I'm not sure, he decided that he wanted to live here after graduation and moved to Aliquippa. And at that time, they wanted to provide services to kids year-round. And so first came our summer day camp, and then came our mentoring program, which is we match adults to students, and it's like an adult peer friendship, and the adults hang out with kids like outside of programming in the community. And then once moving from the summer day camp to mentoring, what came next was our cohort program, and that was developed just to have ongoing relationships with youth from day camp and throughout the year. That program has evolved quite a bit. How it started was it clustered 8 to 10 kids together in a group. They had a cohort leader, and that cohort leader acted as like a positive adult peer, a positive adult relationship with the youth, but then also worked with the youth on individual and group goal setting. And that program has evolved into more servicing middle and high school students that prepares them for life outside of high school so that they can make informed choices and be prepared to graduate and move on to the next phase of their life. So that came the cohort program. Then the after-school program came. How many years has it been now, Kristen? Is it 10? Ish.
Maybe 9 or 10,
Yeah. And so that provides like homework support, education enrichment, STEM and art activities on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. And then we just recently added a 5th program called Restorative Innovations. And for Restorative Innovations, that's a mental health awareness program that increases the emotional intelligence in our youth through psychoeducational group sessions, restorative talking circles, and individual therapeutic environments. And so basically, we have a licensed therapist on staff that works on increasing the emotional intelligence within a child.
That's great to hear. How long has that program?
That is just about a year, and I'm actually really happy with it. prior going into this program, and the reason why it was developed is that we saw that there were so many barriers in the mental health system for our youth to get access to. And, you know, whether it was insurance or wait lists and what to do once you were connected to that service. And we would realize we would see things happening in a child before they actually happened. Like just some behavior was off, or they were processing emotions that were really heavy. And there was, you know, besides the support that we already give within our existing programs and through relationships, that's all we were able to give. And we just wanted to have more of a proactive approach in those situations, because what happened was it was always reactive. You know, it's just like we saw it coming, we saw some things, some red flags, and then something would happen, some type of crisis event. And once that would happen, they would just get connected into the mental health system, whether that was in school or through their family. And that just took them on another path. And whether that path was good or not, you know, sometimes yes and sometimes no. However, we just wanted to have more of a proactive approach. And that's kind of why we started Restorative Innovations. So when a child is having a hard time coping, when their emotions are off or behavior, you know, we could talk to them about coping mechanisms to think through that. And then if we do believe that they need additional services that they have not been able to connect to, we can help lower that barrier and help the family connect to the service that they need to.
Wow, that's powerful, because I feel like in our communities, or just lower income communities, period, like therapy really isn't a thing. And I know even for me at 35 years old, with my traumatic history, what I come from, I still don't even know how to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys doing that introduces them to that process and lets them know, like, this doesn't mean something's completely wrong with you. This is just checking up on yourself.
That's it. And it isn't. And we're not, like, in our individual therapeutic environments, it's not like we're going into trauma and trying to unfold that. It's like a child is in school and they're having these thoughts and they don't know how to cope. Well, there are just some steps you can take to help you process that, to use correct words to talk about your emotions, how to ask for help, what you can do with like breathing and thinking and like different exercises. And so, and just helping the kids to walk through that as they are trying to manage those emotions. So it's just one step, like in emotional and mental health. And we think it's a step that's easy to meet with kids. They like it. You know, we make it interactive and enjoyable. They appreciate the one-on-one time. And then with families, we already have so much trust with our families. So when we approach them about it, it's not like some outside person coming in and trying to say, what's going on with your child. It's just us saying, hey, we see a couple things. What do you think? They have a say-so into it as a parent or guardian. What would you like us to work on? What are you seeing at home? And so it becomes like a partnership between us and the parent to help the child to have more coping mechanisms and to think through their emotions. And then like the restorative talking circles, we piloted those last semester with our middle and high school students. And, you know, it started off a little rough because they didn't even understand what it was, like sitting in a circle and talking about emotions, you know? But as they went through it and they start talking, you just probe questions to them, and, you know, and then each child has a time to talk and give their views. They talked about their school, their community, personal things, and just little things like the kids looking at each other in the eye, you know, listening to one another, empathizing and sympathizing. Like these were skills that we're developing within the talking circles that youth today don't really have to always do because they're more screen oriented, you know, and this just gave more of a personalized experience within a group setting, and help them learn vulnerability and also coming up with words to articulate their emotions.
All right, because that's important, like expressing how you feel, you know, because a lot of times we can't, and it will transfer to anger. Now, with COVID, a lot of kids had a lot of mental health issues, and a lot of people didn't really think about the kids. Like, how much do you feel like this has impacted that?
Yeah. Well, I think COVID really heightened our desire to launch it because, I think prior to COVID, one of the assets in our community is that kids played outside all the time. And I think prior to COVID, you would see that decreasing some because of screen time. And then COVID exasperated it. And kids became more isolated in the house. Screen time was excessive. Then screen time became a babysitter sometimes for families because a lot of our families were essential workers. And so they, may not have had the childcare that they needed. And so, youth were at home and watching. And so that isolation, I think, was very intense for our youth. And I think it hurt them emotionally and mentally and also academically, but that's another conversation. And so I think, and then also, with everything that happened in 2020 racially, so all of these things are happening to our youth. And the only way they're processing it is what they see on social media. And they're actually not even speaking it out unless they comment it on a Snap or, within social media. So I think it's even more important, especially the restorative talking circles with older youth, to get them to come out and have to start articulating thoughts. We have students to be like, I'm angry and I don't even know why, and giving our young people an opportunity to work through that out loud together with their peers, I think is pretty powerful. Kristen, how about you with what you saw in the after school program?
Coming back after COVID and thinking about our kids, school was like that one outlet. You could go and I can forget about what's happening at home. Mm-hmm. Now they're stuck at home and they're continuously facing all of the traumas that they get to escape when school was in. So they're packing it all in. And social media was their outlet. The blessing and the curse of TikTok and stuff, our kids became more creative. They were finding their identities online, but not in society, in reality. So coming back, they have these bright, personalities online, and they can't connect what's with reality and what's on social media. And it's that's not really realistic, but we can vibe with it. And then the trauma that's, packed onto that is hurt pieces at home, or they're saying we're really struggling, or how do we get through this? And kids having to go into survivor mode even more. And then they come here, it's you don't even have to fight those battles. We got you. And they don't know how to release it. And so that, therapeutic component in our program, I'm saying, is just adding value to the kids' healing. They don't even know that they can heal from things. Right. You don't have to walk through life with these labels and that hurt. You can release it. And so it's those coping mechanisms that they do in the talking circles, it's helping them, and it's putting a voice to that pain and allowing themselves to release it too.
Wow. I was wondering when I was podcasting with the kids, I was wondering, I'm like, what is the difference? Why are these kids out in here, Aliquippa, so open? Mm-hmm. One girl, we sat right here and she was telling me how she was bullied and all of this. And we were just discussing, and she was so open. I wonder if that was because of that program. You know what I mean? She was so... I
would like to say yes, I can't. I don't know. I don't have that answer. But we do think about holistically wrapping around a child through many different ways. And I think what we talk about in those therapeutic environments, we use the same language with our staff. And we also partner with behavioral therapists at the school. So we're using the same language as the therapist at school is using. So when we all work together in collaboration and the child is hearing it over and over again, it starts sinking. It starts our education and enrichment class at ASP. They studied mythology last year, and all of these themes in the humanities, they focused within the humanities, love, hate, pain. Well, we tied that to their emotional intelligence class. Mm-hmm. So the lessons were coming together at the same time. Just believing repetition is very helpful with youth. And, so, that's the therapeutic and emotional, support. But then even academically, when COVID, when they were in remote learning, we moved our after-school program to in-school hours because we knew some kids were not able to complete their work at home, and this just gave them a constructive, place to be sitting at a desk, having someone help them through their assignments, and Kristen led that for the whole year. And what we saw with our middle and high school, same thing. We provided that service to elementary students. And then our middle and high schoolers, what we were viewing during COVID, and this kind of is what has evolved the cohort program into what we call Pathways to Purpose right now, is that they do not have the tools necessary to make informed decisions after high school. And for instance, if they want to get a job, we found during the pandemic, they didn't have basic documents to get a job, like a birth certificate, a social security card. And so while everything was shut down, we kept taking kids to Newcastle or Pittsburgh to get proper documents. So when they got a job, they can get a paycheck. Because what would happen is they would get a job, but then they couldn't get paid because they didn't have proper identification. And so we just found there are just some tangible steps we can walk alongside our youth to help them get things that they need in order to be successful, but also know the opportunities around them. So the school district has been amazing at partnering with us in this program where we meet with middle and high schoolers at the school during the week. And we work, in middle school, it's more self-discovery. And then in ninth grade, they choose a path. Do they want to go to college, a tech school, or just start working after high school? And then every year they have a checklist that they need to go through, 9th through 12th grade, to help them be prepared at graduation to move to that next step. And we have found that that happened during COVID. We just started realizing that there were some gaps and easy ways that we could step in to support more intentionally. We've always been very relationally based in our programs, and I think that is important and foundational in starting out in the community. And I'm so glad we started out that way. I think now, as we are just longer in our life cycle as an organization, we are getting better at determining just tangible ways that we can walk alongside youth through elementary, through high school. I don't know. Do you have anything?
No, you said it all.
So you guys pretty much stayed outside the whole time, man. That's what's up.
We never shut down.
Never shut down.
We started
lunches. We did that. It was 50 to 60 kids. We were meeting at the elementary or high school and distributing lunches, breakfast, lunch, and they started doing dinners, I believe, too.
Yep, on Friday nights for the families as well.
Yep. Yeah, we were cooking.
Yeah.
Keith cooked and still delivered hot meals to our families.
Okay.
And then we also, the cohort leaders, they gamed with kids, met them where they were at on social media. Kristen, tell them about
Packets.
that.
Yeah, for the after school program, we wanted to keep them on point. So I would make learning packets for the kids and distributed those throughout the week just to keep them on point. It might have been a small STEM activity that the families could do. Just showing that we cared. Cookies, whatever we could do, snacks. We just made sure we showed up. And it's 90% of what we do is showing up. And we were showing up and showing out, actually.
And with our middle and high schoolers, an interesting statistic, she would give educational packets with a little treat. In our middle and high schoolers, you can't do that. Right. So the cohort leaders knew their kids well enough, so we would do very kid-specific treat. What's their favorite drink? What's their favorite chip? Something like that. We would write a note to them, put it in. Sometimes the cohort leader would stand in the street, the kid would be at the door, they would talk that way. And when it came back to reentry, we did not lose one child in our program, in our cohort program. And I think that is a great testament to our relationships with youth, because it's hard to maintain relationship with a middle and high schooler. They just have a lot of options,
right?
And their time can be divided. And for them to continue their time with us, that that really, we were just so thankful for that.
That's dope. That's dope. So how do people get involved with your programs? Do you have to be from Aliquippa for all of the programs?
No? Or to be a staff or a student?
Student.
Oh, no.
No, me and staff, but no. Our summer day camp is pretty open, but most of our kids are from Aliquippa. I mean, 99% are. Most of the times when they're out of Aliquippa, it was a referred case.
Okay. All right. So, and this is you guys have the summer program, after school program. What else?
Okay, so we have the after-school program, summer day camp. The middle and high schoolers are called Pathways to Purpose.
Okay.
And then we have the Restorative Innovations, which is the mental health awareness program, and then community-based mentoring.
Okay. So the pathways, what all does that entail? Is that just pretty much after school and
So the Pathways to Purpose, that the cohort leader meets with them in school twice a month. They have the option to come on Wednesday nights for a middle and high school night where they cook dinner, and that's where the restorative talking circles happens. Or they just go to the Y and swim and get pizza, just different things like that. And then the cohort leader also meets with youth outside just for relational time, like take them to go get ice cream, go play basketball, something like that.
Okay. All right. Do you guys have anything coming up, events, anything that you want to let the people know about?
The after school program starts September 13th, and we are full. We are at 60 kids officially over capacity for the first time since we started. And that's super exciting because I think COVID, our numbers went down a little bit. I think we still service like 30 kids, and then after that it was 40. And this year, out of all the years we've been doing this is the highest number we've had. And it's just like, it's a testament of how we just could, like, we're pursuing families, we're pursuing these opportunities to be a resource. And to have 60 kids this year is kind of frightening, but it's exciting to me too, because it's like, all right, we're meeting and we're reaching new families in the community, and they're like, they know like we're good for what we do.
That's powerful. That's powerful. So do the parents provide transportation? Do you guys go pick the kids up?
We do provide transportation from Aliquippa Elementary to the after-school program, and Baden Academy, they also bus their students here.
Okay.
And so if they do live, we do have a few Hopewell students this year, thankfully, and they will have to bring their students.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we're missing? I feel like you guys got a lot of great programs, a lot of great things going on. I don't want to leave anything out.
There was something I was going to say when you talked about the 60. Oh, you said this was like semi-COVID related. When COVID hit, and this, when I talked to other youth organization providers, they would say attendance was very spotty, and it was because families just had a new normal. Like, it was kind of hard to get kids to transition back to organized time and activities. And so attendance would be spotty. Like if they didn't feel like getting up, they didn't come to camp, like summer day camp. And this year at our summer day camp, and now with the after school program, we have seen a huge influx of people who are like, we are ready. Like guardians and parents, like, sign my kid up. I want them to have this space and time. Attendance was solid at our summer day camp. So I think like in Beaver County, it is such an opportune time to make sure we service youth in an intentional way.
Right.
Because I just believe that many families have held a lot in the past few years, and they will welcome the additional support and opportunities for their kids.
Makes sense too. I feel like the fear of COVID is it's not going away. I think we're realizing like, what we're missing out on by separating and it's not greater than, that's greater than being fearful of COVID.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what people are experiencing right now.
And it's definitely taking every opportunity they can to make sure their kid lives. Like, hey, if you're going to go play sports, go play sports. Like, we're not going to sit back. I know, at least for me, I'm taking every opportunity to do something different. And I just hope that's what a lot of our families continue to do also. So.
Okay. Before we go, anybody out there who's watching, because this is the first time I've heard about this mental health initiative, any organization out there that is listening, like what steps could they take towards implementing something like that?
I think you could take small steps by just creating an emotional intelligence class. So those are just like lessons you can get online. Like, let's talk about our feelings and how to process feelings. If one had knowledge in like talking circles and restorative justice practices, which Krista and I can become certified in that, that is a very tangible training and certificate to achieve. I don't know if you have to be completely certified in it, but anyway, like just getting kids to talk, like that, and that theory in itself is just very easy to implement within children's programming. We have a licensed therapist, so I would say that's like the next tier, who can provide like therapeutic environments. And I personally thought that was important because there is just, it's a lot of work for a parent to get services for their child. It's very daunting. It's confusing. There are wait lists. We've had crisis situations with youth, and it's exhausting trying to figure out like what service is best for them, where to get it, what is the waiting. And sometimes families are not able to advocate for themselves, and to have a licensed therapist on staff who knows the system and knows how to navigate it will help lessen the barriers for youth and families to get connected to services. And so we've already been in conversations, this is very preliminary, with a couple organizations in Beaver County that we can become like, they can be the next step for us. When we have a child, they will take the child, like they will evaluate them and like provide services. So we have found it helps lessen the barrier to enter into the mental health system by having a licensed therapist on staff. I don't think that's necessary to start taking a step to help a child like with their mental and emotional health.
I thank you guys for your work in the community. It's big. I'm impressed. I honestly am. I've watched you work with the kids hand on and just
She's phenomenal. I've never seen someone who could like discipline and lift them up into their identity at the same time, like Kristen. And
it's definitely a gift.
It's a huge gift. She does a great job.
It's great that you're here, that you guys even found each other. You know what I mean? So that's powerful.
That's the gift is when you say, how do other organizations want to add this? It's the want to. That I need to. I don't need to do this. I want to. I show up every day because I have a desire to make sure our kids are straight, to make sure that they get the mental health components. Like just this conversation, I'm just like, dang, I remember like years ago when we started, we never thought we'd be here. We had big dreams, but just like now we're in this space, we're offering all of these programs, and we just had a day camp.
Yeah.
Just a little day camp with maybe 60, 75 kids. And now we're here. It's like amazing. So like take those, if you're listening, take those steps to make sure like get these types of programs because it's so beneficial.
Kristen, I think that's a really good point. I mean, remember we've been in this for like 18 years and there's just been a lot of steps. And it's like organized chaos. Like, we're working with kids, so it's not like linear to our progression. It goes up and down and, there's just a lot of things that happen, but you can always take steps. There's always just small things you can do. I mean, they ran day camp in the first few years getting like broken crayons from like churches. Like, like to teach an emotional intelligence class, that you can obtain that information online. It's just being intentional with your time with youth and making it constructive, hands-on, engaging. If you do that, like pick your subject, it could be STEM, it could be education enrichment, it could be emotional intelligence,
You just made that sound so easy. You've been in the trenches. Like,
Just take a step. I love you ignited it when you said take a step.
You do take a step.
That's all we do. And we fail sometimes. We launch things, we're like, that didn't work.
Yep.
That didn't work at all. And then we try some new things and we're like, gosh, there's something there. And so that kind of opens a new path.
Anything else before we go?
No.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem. Thank you guys for this interview. And yeah, that's it.